Speak on it. Reppin' KC till I die. We been to town. You know Westport to 18 and fine. It's going down. We support the town. We don't hate. That's not allowed. We just on the come up like the next man on the come up. Two hoes. Mr. Fisher kicking back with Fatty Reggie. Whenever they show up on the scene, you know they ready. Ed in the background. You don't really see his face. He the man with the plan on the move every day. If you got something to say, come speak on it. Come speak on it. Happy little thing. We be on it. If you ain't heard of us, get up on it, get up on it. We do our promotion, come be on it, come be on it. If you got something to say, come speak on it, come speak on it. Happy little thing, we be on it, we be on it. If you ain't heard of us, get up on it, get up on it. We do our promotion, come be on it, come be on it.
Tap in, roll up. Tap in, roll up. Tap in, roll up. Tap in, roll up.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to Speak On It. I'm your host, Steve.
I'm your boy, Fatty Reggie.
And today, we're sitting down with the man, Jesse Pringle. In case y'all don't know who he is, a TME representative, and also a Kansas City representative. It's been a while since we saw you, man. Last time we saw you, we was on the set of your video, The Realist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good time. So my first question for you on that is, what was your inspiration for writing that song? It was a dope track, by the way.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you bringing me on,
No problem.
especially at a time close to the holiday season, but after we just officially released The Realist. So once again, thanks for having me on.
No problem.
The Realist music video and kind of, you said inspiration behind the whole concept of the song itself. That would have to that would have to really rewind back to the beginning, and and really just add up all the things that it took to then in turn write The Realist, and kind of go there, lyrically and story-wise, because it's truly my story, and definitely a legacy piece for me, and that's why I had so many close friends in the video too, but motivation and kind of inspiration, it was really as simple as, for me, it's I feel the music.
Right.
That's how I communicate best. If you catch me in the streets any other day, if I'm not, granted, if I'm talking movies or something like that, or business, then I'll probably talk. But other than that, I stay pretty soft spoken in that regard. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so it took a lot to kind of get that expression of thought into a song, lyrically, because I would rather let somebody else do all the talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just kind of sit back and do my thing and champion what I'm doing and let my work speak. But ultimately, the piece was and is, a reflection of me, descriptively, and when the lyric says I see you in the videos,
Yeah.
I'm talking like
You're talking right to them.
I'm talking right to the people I'm
felt
seeing
that
in the
line,
videos, and
Mhm.
not to point out any names in particular or anything like that, because there's just too many to name,
Yes.
in that regard. And I've been around, thankfully, long enough in this music industry to kind of see the different waves,
Right.
starting in the mid 90s.
Yeah, I saw that. You was you started mid-90s and you shared the stage with like Casey and JoJo
Man.
and
Yeah.
such.
Yeah,
How
For
was
sure.
that?
For
A lot
sure.
of people.
That's some beauty behind that, isn't it?
For sure. Yeah. Being kind of what one would call a journeyman,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
you know, kind of anybody coming in town, I'm going to open up for them, or,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, or I'd perform anywhere,
Yeah.
and
True performer.
because it was just, for me, performance was my vehicle of how I'm truly going to, number one, be be heard in regards to lyrics, music,
And sound.
and sound like that, but also to kind of be like, all right, well, this is who I am.
Right.
Because at the very beginning of my career, I didn't really publicize too much my image as much as my work, and I would just let my work talk. You know what I mean? And
Work speaks for itself.
and so I while singing R&B and grooming myself as a writer over the years, and a performer. I sang a lot of hooks for a lot of rap artists. And so the hip hop industry and the rap industry was always just right there in the same room with me, always in the studio. And so, you know, uh, in that regard, I saw the personalities and the characters go in and out of the studio too.
Yeah.
And whether or not they would make it on stage, or whether or not, they couldn't keep their life together in the streets outside of the studio, or whatever.
Right.
It's just, hey, I've seen a lifetime of experience in that regard, and that's kind of what sparked the realist off, and I see you in the videos,
Right.
confessing about the shit
Right.
the killers that'll ride with you.
Hmm.
But that's just not what gangsters do.
Right.
Not the gangsters I ever knew, not the real ones, they talk less.
That was a real
You know?
line, man. I really felt that when I saw the video, man.
That track was hard. Who made the
Yeah,
track?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don Juan.
Don Juan?
Whoa!
Whoa.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Shout out to Don
Shout
Juan.
out to Don Juan,
Don Juan
man.
made the beat.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's good shit
So
right
that-
there.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, 'cause the track is just so
It's
smooth.
so
that's just a
smooth.
real.
Yeah.
That's a
It's
real
real
Casey
laid
sound.
back.
Top
Yeah.
to bottom, man.
It's so laid
Yeah.
back. It's
I,
a good vibe off of it. Yeah.
It'd been, him and I have known each other and of each other, and ran into each other, and just, our circles always crossed over the last 20 plus years probably, from his days on in Midwest side, like all that, at that time I was working with South 71 Degrees and
Yeah.
and Ruff and Big Game James and Roach and Blue and all them guys, down south. So, it was all the same era, you know what I mean? And 18th and Vine, that whole area was
Man, you been
different.
busy.
Man,
Oh,
yeah,
man,
sound
so-
like
you been
the
busy.
man said he was a journeyman.
Hey, so not to get off subject, but I tell you, like, we had always ran into each other, seen each other, never worked with each other.
Mm,
We finally got to the point where,
let's do this.
I had talked to him, and many years later, obviously, and was like, all right, well, let's do something. And he invited me over to his studio. It was, I remember it. It was in December, and it was snowing. and I went over there, and the idea was to, spend 3-4 hours just listen to some stuff and see whether or not I, could write to anything, and then, then we'd collaborate and create on something. And first beat he played was that one.
Was that one?
Was that one.
Hit right out the gate, huh?
And it's got that piano
Yeah.
melody in it, and which is just totally kind of where I come from in Kansas City. You know what I mean? It's kind of that
piano,
that
kinda
real
like that
gritty
jazzy
street,
Yeah.
but jazzy, gospel-y
yeah.
type of
Yeah.
soul,
Yeah.
like,
Soul
you know what I
music,
mean? Like,
yes,
and then
yeah.
with a with kind of that rap drum line, that Don Juan, of course,
Yeah.
is known for. And I tell you, he tried to play 3, 4, 5, 6 songs after that, and I was
He
like,
was
nope.
I'm good.
That was
Go back to the
That was
first one.
it.
That's the
Go back
only
to the
one I need to
first
hear.
one,
I was like, it already popped up in my head, when I heard it. I see you in them videos, and I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna say to it or whatever.
That was
It
But
all
that's
worked.
how it started. That's
That
how
was
it
stellar.
started.
Sound like it all worked
and,
out in the end.
and that's really, that's really how I write music. It's all a feeling for me,
Right.
and it could be the best producer in the world, and I've worked with some great ones, like, but if I'm not feeling it, then I can't write to it,
Exactly.
and I'm not going to do it. Like,
Right.
it's just that simple, because for me, music is truly my expression and communication, outlet.
Right.
So if I don't talk, if I'm quiet, in real life or in person or whatever, I actually allow music and my lyrics to actually just do the talking for me. So, you want to get to know me, well, listen to the song, you know what I mean? So, that's how that worked out. Don Juan, yeah, he made that beat, and then I actually spent some time with that, and which I've been doing recently when writing is just, I'll usually first day I'll get a track or a beat or some music or whatever, unless it's just some strange circumstances where I'm in a studio with somebody and we've got one day to make something. Then of course I'll make it happen, writing and putting it down and all that. But if I've got time, then I'm just gonna sit on a song. You know what I mean? Like, I'll hear it, usually I'll come up with the chorus the first day,
Okay.
which is then in turn the melody. So I'll come up with the melody and the lyric chorus, first day, and I'll just sit on that. I'll sit on for a couple days, you know what I mean, until it just comes, like, you know what I mean, and it always does. So I've always written my own music. I've got probably, I was counting, because I'm experimenting with potentially releasing some old music on some kind of the making of an outlaw volume 1, volume 2 vibe, you know what I mean?
Okay,
That
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
thing,
yeah, yeah.
just so people can kind of get to know who I was before the Outlaw Jesse Pringle came out, you know what I mean? So, definitely stay tuned to my Instagram, Jesse Pringle Outlaw, for updates in that regard. But everything right now, of course, is coming out under TME, which is Universal Empire. So very happy and excited about everything that we're doing there too, building the whole TME brand and label. So
That's coming together.
Yeah.
What made you? How did you and Court Dog link? What made that
Relationship happen.
relationship happen?
So-
come together?
via social media,
Right.
like, to keep it real, and at the time I had just come out, and I was just completing my Kill 'Em All Los Angeles series. After the Kill 'Em All Kansas City
Oh yeah, we
series, I
was looking
did.
that up earlier.
Yeah, and 12-time award-winning series, that thing, man. So we got filmmaking talk to talk,
Yeah.
and me and Court were had hooked up via social media through some mutual friends, and we had hundreds of the same friends or whatever, and probably crossed paths time or two, or but he had been gone for a long time too, you know what I mean, doing his thing out there, and when we got reacquainted, we had first started talking about working on films together. So this was just right before his double album, The Boomerang, came out. And him and I had worked together and written a series called Beast Mode, which we were in development, pre-production, which is a kind of a narc cop crime drama series based in Kansas City, starring him and I.
Okay.
And, you know what I mean? And so that was a definitely a cool series that we've still got, on the back burner. And we were right in the middle of pre-production for that, getting ready to film that. And then he leaked that, hey, you know what, I'm going to do this double album and start this TME brand. And I said, all right, well, you know, I've been recording again. I was like, shit, if you need anybody to sing some choruses or hooks on anything, just let me know.
Right.
So out of that, he then called me. It was like, yo, I got, you know, my producer Black and Mild. He's, you know, you look Black and Mild up, it's unreal, the things and the people that he's worked with. And he's from Louisiana, I think. He was under the No Limit label for a long time and still may be. And he had sent me 2 tracks that Black and Mild did. Said, write to any of these, writes one of them, record to it, we'll put it on the album. So that's how that whole thing got started. And that's where my song, I Want You, first came out, because I got that track from Black and Mild, and it was very traditional 2-step R&B, you know, right up Kansas City's alley, man. And I was like, well, you know, I'm you know, kind of greasing my way back into music again anyway after kind of a 6-year hiatus with film, and I was like, all right, well, let me just slide back in, you know, with something real smooth like this, which was the I Want You track. And to this day, that song goes. Yeah. That song goes, you know, and shout out to Black and Mild for that amazing track, because he was actually, after I recorded that, he was nominated for a Grammy for producing Nice for What for Drake.
Oh, yeah? Didn't know that.
As a matter of fact, he was on Billboard top 5 or 6. He had 2 songs on the top 5 the same week.
Okay.
Both Drake songs, In My Feelings and Nice for What.
Okay.
And so that's the guy that actually produced the music for the I Want You track.
Okay.
That's what's up. That, you know, we've got a video for that. We shot it out in L.A. Court directed that. Had that beautiful model, Victoria. She came out and did that, and then had, man, that shot it at his crib, and then went to Malibu, shot at the beach, and
yeah, I saw the video.
Had a hot rod at that Chevelle SS, was provided by good friend Big Herc. Shout out to him. He's got a YouTube series out, Big Herc, and I think it's it has something to do with rehabilitation of former penitentiary inmates.
Oh,
like
that's
life
kinda dope.
after
Yeah,
the
life
pen,
after-
you know
life
what I
after-
mean?
yeah.
And he's really big. Shout out to Big Herc for the hot rod and everything he's doing.
So who's the biggest name, I should say, that you ever made music with? Like who's the top artist that you ever made a song with? Famous artist, I should say.
Well, I haven't worked with that many people in the studio, you know, in regards to famous people like that.
Well, let me change.
You know,
who's
independent-wise, famous-wise, Tech Nine would probably be the biggest.
Okay.
You know, in
Yeah,
regards
Kansas
to
City
achievement, and
Yeah.
you know, he's the #1 independent artist in the world, isn't he?
Right.
Something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like, so,
Yeah. Straight from Kansas City,
Everybody
Missouri.
know
Man.
that
But
name.
the first record him and I were on together was actually on a Snug Brim album. Snug Brim, Pieces of the Puzzle. It was his first album, and the song was called Seven Sins.
Okay.
And it was me back then under the alias Omay. And it was me, and then Tech, and then Snug, Dub Dog, and I want to say Rich,
Okay.
maybe. And then, you know, we did a couple over the years or whatever, off and on. Did one for his mixtape, or his Gates mixplate
Yeah, Gates Mixplate,
album or whatever.
That was a good CD.
So where the name change come in at? Like, you know, I know rebranding is always a beautiful thing. What made that happen?
Rebranding is probably the hardest thing.
Yeah.
and it's just because I had went under one name, Omade, from 1996 to 2010,
Okay.
and when I had always had kind of two different lives. I had my music life, and then I had,
Your life.
my life, but I started getting into, some filmmaking stuff and things like that. And then I moved out to Los Angeles. I really got into films and then got into the Screen Actors Guild as an actor. And then when he asked me, it was like, well, what do you want your name to be? Because it's your stage name. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, let me think about this. You know what I mean? I'm like, let me think about this. And I was like, you know what? I've been doing this long enough. I think I've got I wouldn't say a formula to make it work, but knowledge enough to know that all I've got to really do is to commit to it.
Amen.
You know what I mean? And
Yes.
and if I'm committed to it, then I can convince everybody else to be committed to it. You know what I'm saying? It's the power of positive thinking, man.
Yeah,
Like,
manifest.
and it wasn't anything, I wasn't dodging anything or anything like that. I mean, it's my real name. Jesse Pringle is my real name. And I'd grown up, and so then I went into the Screen Actors Guild as a union actor as Jesse Pringle. So from then on, I think the first song I recorded under Jesse Pringle was a record I did with Grady called Top of the World. We did a video to that. And it was the first video, I believe it was the first rap video I ever shot and directed down at 18th Vine under the gym.
Okay.
But yeah, once I did that, it was all right. Well, me and Cord had talked about it. He's like, well, what you want your stage name to be? I was like, it's Jesse Pringle. And he's like, well, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, what do you think? Like, I was like, trust me, it's gonna work. And
That's it.
and I was like, you know what? I was like, because I'm such a huge fan of, like, I grew up watching, old westerns and cowboy movies and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And both my grandfathers on both sides were, cowboys to an extent. You know what I mean? And so it just was like, well, the outlaw Jesse Pringle then.
Right.
How about that? You know what I mean?
Yes, it comes
And it was just that simple. And what it did is it just kind of breathed new life into the name I've had my entire life. You know what I mean? And it's just like, hey, you know what? This is my brand. I am my brand, and that's exactly how it's gonna be until until I'm 6 feet under. Like so, and so it was also something where it kind of came to an interesting crossroads after MySpace kind of went away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was huge on MySpace, dog.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Damn, them is starting to seem like anxious stories.
I'm trying to tell you, MySpace.
You know what I mean?
I was thinking the same thing.
you know what I mean? Like,
That's tight.
Yeah.
but hey, but it's like it's one platform than the other, and then this one's here for a second and then gone, and so I never really, to be honest with you, I never got into the Twitter game.
Never?
And, but you
That's
check
so
me out,
crazy.
the Jesse Pringle. But I need some more followers on there. But
That's where it's at.
I never really got into Twitter because, like I said, on the artist side of it, I'm way introverted. You know what I mean? I'm way introverted. Not the loudest guy in the room. You know what I mean? In that regard. But then again, I'd let my hard work, kind of speak for itself. And singing R&B, I kind of had to do that anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Because you go up somebody's hands, meet a microphone. It's
That's
Yeah,
and
you
you
got
know
the
what I
pot,
mean? It's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
what am
for
I
sure.
gonna do now?
Yeah,
Like,
what's next? Yeah, you gotta keep it going.
so you know, I was an athlete in school, growing up in high school, and partially in college, and so and then
because you did UFC.
Speak,
or
yeah,
then
I was
then
about to say that. Speaking of being
I
an
never,
athlete,
I
yeah,
never fought in the UFC, that
Never?
organization,
Okay.
but I fought MMA.
fought
I did kickboxing and boxing, and
How that work for you? What was your record?
not
Not too great.
yeah. I'm a better singer.
Better singer. Hey, at least you
know
did
what?
it.
That's important. Man.
Most
You
people wouldn't
find
have the
your
heart to
niche,
do
you can
that.
stick to it. You don't. You
Yeah.
know.
Well,
you obviously had a passion for it.
it-
'Cause you gotta have
yeah.
a passion to do
You
that
gotta
shit.
have passion. Yeah.
Well, you know, like I said, I was always an athlete and very competitive.
Football, basketball,
Football and track,
track. Okay.
and then and when college was over, like the second verse says, 18, first time away from home.
Right.
I thought I knew which way to go. I was thrown in a war zone. Like a
Right.
fighter, I stood my own. Kicked out of college, back to KC.
Back to KC.
KC, I represent.
Right. Kind of sound like you just had to make your own way after that. Huh?
Absolutely. But once there was no question in my mind when I went to college to play football that I was grooming myself for the NFL.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I played tight end and running back, and so I was pretty comfortable working hard and figured I was going to find my way that way. You know what I mean? Got injured, fucked up in school, got
Okay.
kicked out. Like, you know what I mean? But I'm thankful for it because it made me the man I am today. And obviously, that's a man that's able to say something that people want to hear. So I'm thankful for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I am, because I do have friends that finished college or that finished this or that or whatever else, and are seemingly in dire straits. You know what I mean? At the same age, so it's hard to see, but it's kind of just a testament to my willpower, and my desire to fight. Fight the long fight. What Nipsey say, the marathon.
The marathon, yeah. It's not a race. It's definitely a
So
marathon.
what's
Definitely
next?
a
I know an album is brewing. Is an album, full-length album brewing?
No.
No? Y'all busy anyway.
Yeah,
Y'all
y'all
still
are
got the
busy.
series y'all working
Well,
on.
Yeah, can we get
I've definitely got an album's worth of material, and I just, Court and I had talked pretty in depth about the subject, and I just, because I was coming off of kind of a hiatus and getting back into music, and re-releasing music, and pushing a new brand, and all that, to finish on that, rather than have two names, one name, everybody goes to the same place
Amen.
for marketing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right.
So, if for no other reason,
Right.
they can find me if they need to find me under
Important.
one
Yeah,
name.
that's very important.
So, Jesse Pringle it is.
Jesse Pringle it is. The outlaw Jesse Pringle.
Right? So, in regards to the album, I'd spent, probably a year writing and recording, and mixing and mastering and all that, and I've got
Got an album worth of work.
I've got a book.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because of to be honest, our lack of mainstream budget to be able to promote and market it efficiently to the masses the way I believe it should be, I would rather not put out an album and have songs lost in the shuffle, and just put out singles and give each single its due time of, you know what I mean,
Each
of the
manifest.
budget and you know what I mean, organic marketing structure that I've got in place or whatever. If I can't afford to put out an album, then I'm going to put all my resources into each single that I put in, you know what I mean? And so far, we're putting out, I think 2 songs a year, 2 videos a year, something like that. We did 3 last year, but hey, you know what? Like, it's nerve-wracking at times because I want everybody to hear everything I've got to say. You know what I mean? For sure, especially because I'm not getting any younger. But in regards to protecting I guess my self-expression in my art, I would rather focus on each single appropriately and be like, yo, I believe in this single because I believe in every single I put out.
Right, you're supposed to.
You know, I mean, yeah, I could go into a studio and write 1,000 hooks to 1,000 songs and you know what I mean, and fade my way through lyrics or whatever else, but that's just not what I'm doing.
Right.
You know, I mean, this is truly my form of expression. And my other form of expression was fighting. You know what I mean? So,
You got a Christmas song that I thought.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thanks, man.
We heard it for you, guy.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
damn
was
smooth.
Thank you, man. Yeah, thank
Killing
you.
it with that hat, though. You know what I'm saying?
You know, what's that?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was some funny shit.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that
is.
was some
Yeah.
funny shit.
Yeah,
That was some funny
yeah.
shit.
That's what's up. We'll see.
You know, him and I have known each other for years. We used to be on the same little performance circuit. He
Okay.
was doing stand-up in his 3-piece pimp suits, his permed out hair. You know what I mean?
I heard the story.
You know, this would have been back probably 05, 04, or something like that.
Oh, man.
But, you know, hey, man, like, it's all kind of fitting together. And, you know, we've got no reason to rush it.
Right.
But, you know, at the same time, it's supply and demand. So, you know what I mean? There's still deadlines have to be met, and deadlines still have to be set. You know what I mean? Like, so it's frustrating I know it can be frustrating for, you know, music producers because, you know, because, you know, I write some music, we believe in it, we record it, and then it sits on the shelf until the other song gets promoted by the other producer, you know what I mean? And then, you know, however many months later. So it can be frustrating, I understand that. But, you know, hey, until there's an adequate top line budget that allows us to be able to put out Outlaw Jesse Pringle album
And market it properly.
and market it properly, then it's going to be singles. However, I have talked to everybody kind of involved, and I'm big on performing live. So for me, it's about live performance and putting on a show. I'm working with a couple people to even potentially put together a stage play, but in form of a concert
Okay.
for the Outlaw Jesse Pringle. So it's going to be just kind of a, you know, from my experience with filmmaking and stuff like that, and I did some plays and such and writing when I was a kid. So, you know, my love for live performance and putting on a show is definitely my priority. You know, everybody can talk about streams and playlists and all that, and that's great. If my music isn't on your playlist or you're not streaming it, please do. You know, but for me, the best way I'm going to express myself is if I'm live, seeing who I'm talking to, you know what I mean,
Yes.
and sharing my story or giving my testimony on stage with everybody there that's there to see it. So, you know, it's that's what's the most important to me, you know, the human connection side of it, you know what I mean? As a matter of fact, why don't you guys something?
Oh, yeah, we got gifts today.
Something. Made sure I brought him a brown paper
We
bag.
got us a gift bag here. Okay. Oh, shit. I see.
Slagging.
Oh, yeah.
So-
We gonna show y'all what's in this
You
next
gonna see
time.
me
You gonna see
on
me.
the
You
next
definitely gonna have
episode.
me. definitely gonna have it on in the next episode.
Yeah, but I thank you.
But I thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I appreciate you having me on, man, for real.
So, what's it like working with Court? What's it like?
Well, you got to be able to work out.
Gotta be able to work out.
Nah, for real. He's he looks meaner than he acts.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got
I
you.
mean, like he looks like Debo,
Looks like
but he
you.
doesn't act like Debo. So, in all honesty, we've always been very equally yoked in regards to our conversations and about whether it's business plans for the music business or the film or the series business or acting, singing, rapping, anything like that, and life. You know what I mean? So it's for me it's all about transparency. You know, I think I said it in The Realist. It's like, don't be a punk, look me in the eye.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if we're going to talk about something, let's talk about something.
Right. Exactly.
But let's not hide it from each other. You know what I mean? Because that's where problems arise.
Right.
You know, you start thinking too much. Well, don't start thinking for me.
Right.
Let's talk this shit out. You know what I mean? So, like,
I heard that.
but you know, so we're very transparent. But one thing that Court always says is be consistent, and it's true.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say that over the years, our experience has definitely taught us that, where whatever move you're going to make, just make sure it's consistent direction and stay that direction consistently, and don't mix it up all the time.
Pick a
You know what
path
I mean?
and stay home.
Yeah,
Too
so
many detours.
yeah,
No
don't take
detours.
too many detours. You know, so and that can be tough. You know, when you're dealing with real world
Yes.
situation, because I'm no alien to real world situations. You know what I mean? I've got, everybody's got problems.
Yeah.
I'm no exception to the rule.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a
That was
song
hard.
that said that, you know, and but you know, but we're all out here trying to eventually accomplish what? Happiness, right? I mean, it's not even about money; it's about happiness.
Yeah.
Money might be part of it, but
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
Whatever
happy at the
brings
end
you
of the day.
happiness.
Yeah,
That's what we're
whatever
trying to
brings you
obtain.
happiness. Yeah.
But regardless, you know, generalizing, you know, the whole race itself would be like, all right, well, we're all just out here trying to, you know, a squirrel trying to get a nut,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
we're all trying to get to that happy ending or whatever. So, you know, I don't get in his way, he doesn't get in mine. I'm not saying that like on purpose, like we're, you know, avoiding each other like that. But what I'm saying is, he doesn't tell me how to write my songs. You know what I mean? He doesn't tell me what music to write to. He doesn't tell me what clothes to wear. You know,
Yeah.
I don't tell him how to run a company.
Right.
I don't tell him what artists to like or what artists not to sign. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, obviously, having the power to be your own individual is definitely a very important thing to keep hold of. You know what I mean? Identity, right? Keeping your identity.
Yeah.
Where, you know, some major artists, and I can't speak on this, some major artists under major labels have found over the years that holding on to their identity is a legal matter. You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, Prince went through it, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know, so,
Martin being there.
you know, so it really, it's just, we respect each other.
That's good.
And you know, and so so all of our business ends up smooth, you know.
Right. That's what I was about to say. It keeps the business smooth.
Right. Keeps the bullet
No
flowing.
tension.
There's
Respect.
no secrets, there's no skeletons in the closet or whatever. You know what I mean? If there's an issue, bring it up,
Talk about it.
talk about it.
Yeah. Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
you
sound
know,
like a respectable. Hey,
A
man.
respectable man. Yeah, a real respectable man.
Yeah,
Listen,
the videos though.
videos, yeah, we
oh, thanks.
love the video,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Yeah, like I said, I wish we could have been in it if we had a little bit more time.
Right?
That's what I
Well, you
was
were there.
Like, I know we wanted to be in the video, but my man had to go to. A man had to go to. A man had to go to work the next day. So
Hey,
we
you know
couldn't
what?
jump in there.
You know what? It wasn't even my idea to have girls in it.
You wanted it straight.
I was about to say it looked like it was gritty. It was fucking
Yeah, it was
gritty.
really,
It wasn't
yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
that
love,
shit was real.
but I love the girls that we had in it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, she had one on her face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Nico Suave. She's the artist under Outlaw. Yeah. She was in there. She had the red rag on.
Yeah, I saw her. Yeah.
Erica Newton. She
It
plays.
was great. The Burnouts, you got the gangs to go in. Yeah, the girls with the.
Oh yeah.
The whole video was dope, man. Yeah, I'm glad that we got to experience it. We had the honor to be there. It was a real honor being there. It really
For
was.
sure, man. It was a great time, and you know, it's like there's a story behind every video.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what makes not just music fun, but filmmaking fun. You know what I mean? It's independently, you know, because you can have stories to then tell on. You know what I mean? Like the owner of the building is a close friend and fraternity brother of mine, and
A lot of connections.
and you know, and the hot rods were you know, borrowed from friends, and you know, everybody knows I like hot rods, American Muscle. You know what I mean? So you know, we had those were there by friends, and you know, some of the people that we had scattered in the crowd were really legitimate OGs. Like, you know what I mean?
Like J Bone. Shout out to J Bone. I saw him.
Shout
I
out
saw
to
him up
J-Bone.
in there.
Yeah.
I saw him in there. Nico, we saw him in there too. Yeah. Yeah, they had some. Red Dot. Shout out to Red Dot. Yeah, we saw some noble faces in there.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? And we also saw you with that killing hat game. You got something behind that hat. You got like
appreciate
you gonna make a hat line or something.
Well, you know, that is the
That's the brand of it.
that's definitely in the
mix.
horizon. Is that the word? Like, it's
Yeah, the
definitely
horizon,
in the
the
future.
vision,
You know what I mean?
right.
It's definitely
Definitely on the
in the
board.
plans to design and release and sell my own hat line for sure. I have a hard enough time trying to find them, you know, the way I like them.
the way
You know
you
what I
like
mean?
them, yes.
But it's it could be a fun thing to do, and I shout out to the companies that sponsored me with some hats, because I had some really large hat companies in New York send me a whole bunch of hats, just because they like me wearing
Because they
hats
like
in my
you,
videos.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but I tell you, having my own line would definitely be a goal.
Amen.
For sure. For sure.
Can't wait.
As is the flat bill trucker. Well, you know.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I got one more question.
You could have 1,000 questions. I'm here, man.
You here? Okay. You got any updates on the No Limit series?
No Limit series. Sure.
Okay.
So we'll be shooting again in Kansas City when it warms up.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
Still no release date.
that's what I can say about
all you
that.
say.
We may do some filming on the West Coast for it. We may do some filming this winter for it, but it would have to be all interiors.
Right.
You
I was
know,
about to
that
say,
we
yeah,
film.
can't see
Let me
it.
be outside.
Sure.
You got any openings for the comedians and the other, actors that,
Extra auditions. Oh man, you know I'm ready.
You stand
I'm
up?
ready. I do it all.
Really?
I do it all. I'm just when we first interviewed Court Dog, I did a audition, but it was my first time auditioning, and I had auditioned for the producer, producer part. But I was the last one that y'all interviewed. Like,
For Reggie,
audition.
yep.
I was literally like one of the last people, and that was a blessing. But that was so cool, and I told Court Dog I always remember that. And I didn't care, I wanted to make the part, but it was not about making the part. It was about getting through my first audition, getting the opportunity, getting the blessing. I stood there. I was there early.
Did you
I
sweat?
was literally the last person. I didn't sweat. It was unorthodox. But
Butterflies?
I know what to do next time, though.
Yeah.
I know what to do next time, and that's what it's about. You can never, I'll never regret life experience and the lessons that it teaches me.
Oh man.
You know what I'm saying? So I could just appreciate it. Was I met this brother. This brother.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff came from coming to that
yeah.
audition.
Absolutely.
That I just cannot ever
That's cool,
question.
man.
You know what I'm saying? It was
That's cool.
manifested. And, it was God's plan.
Yeah, that's
A lot came from
That's
that, and
cool.
I'm still linked with y'all. So I'm gonna do work with y'all regardless. I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
I know it's
Oh
coming.
yeah. And
Me as well.
the role of Reggie hadn't been cashed yet.
Word. Now I know. So it's just I love what y'all doing. I love what Ed is doing. And
Sound like you need to read next time.
huh?
Go for that next audition.
You hear me? Oh man,
going
I
with
show
you.
up a whole different guy, man. But I'm thankful for the opportunities that y'all are putting out there for us. For everybody.
Well,
The OGs are putting on for the city.
it just
And to shoot it in the city like that.
well, it's just satisfying to know that we can have support from the city doing what we've always loved doing. You know what I mean? And that in turn allows y'all to do what you love doing. Like
Yeah.
so,
Yes.
because I mean, honestly, and I can't speak for Court, but obviously, I always want to at least express not a negative light or personality for somebody coming up, the ranks or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the biggest asshole in the game. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I don't want that to deflect me from my personal goals as well, which are the same. You know what I mean? So this is, I was talking about my college career and fighting for a living and pay for studio time, stuff like that. And here's the thing about it. And being a father, I can testify to this, that a lot of kids are being raised without competition.
Right.
And I believe that's a huge detriment to, number one, identity, self-confidence. Because if you don't ever get beat, how are you ever going to know how to get back up?
Right.
Because then something like getting beat seems so devastating. Like, you know what I mean? Versus, all right, well,
I've been there.
all right, well, I think I can make it out of this.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Scars are a badge of honor, and I got lots of them. But it's something where I'm such a competitive person, just personally, even to myself. You know what I mean? Where I'll look in the mirror and be like, all right, well, you're not doing enough. Time to do this or this extra or do so or cut this out or so I'm always definitely testing myself to make sure I'm ready for, I wouldn't say ready for anything,
That can
I
be
told-
a good thing too, though.
well, I mean, like I'm a better singer, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't advise picking a fight with me in the street.
Gotta let it know, right?
I heard that.
But I tell you, I'm way competitive. I'm way competitive. You know what I mean? And not just from team sports, but from individual sports too, like the fighting. Like, it's just you and him in there, or you and another person. And the build up to it is the same
With
way.
the same goal.
There's a bit of pro wrestling involved.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Because you've got to, if you don't, if confidence doesn't come out of you, then
You're going down.
Yeah, you gotta exude confidence.
Oh yeah, especially in
but
MMA.
is it like
No, there's
that?
a lot. No, I don't. Not to misspeak or interrupt you,
No, it's okay.
but I think you're going to go somewhere. There's a lot of people walking around with a lot of false confidence.
Yeah.
So, but
I
that,
mean, because you got your Floyd Mayweather's, and then you got
Sure.
that other guy. What's that other young man?
Wilder?
Nah,
Who?
the young man that just keep getting knocked out. He talk like Floyd.
Adrian Brown.
Adrian Broner. Man, he
Broner.
talk
Okay.
like him,
Yeah.
but he
Well.
keep
Yeah.
getting
He's
knocked
been going
out.
down.
well,
Yeah.
he might be an example of just wear and tear. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is a kind of a downside of combat sports is not knowing when to say enough is enough. I'm guilty of that myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To this day. To this day. Like, I'm not, I know I shouldn't be, doing this over here, but man, somebody says the wrong thing.
It's on.
No, but just having a competitive spirit, I believe, is healthy, not only for your attitude, but for your career too. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and being competitive and knowing that there is other people out there fighting for the same thing is to me it should be fuel.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's my pre-workout. Do a couple more reps, knowing somebody else is doing some reps right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I seen that.
Gotta
I
stay
seen,
ahead of the
man,
competition.
he be offering to let people come work out.
Yeah, I've been
Always
seeing
plugging
him. I
somebody.
always
I
see
need
him.
a
Who
cameraman.
needs my help?
I need
Who
some
wants to
dancers
work
come
out?
up. Always plugging people.
Yeah, he
Always
is.
plugging people.
He
I just
is.
think that's dope. You and Court always
Always got
trying to
that
put
open
somebody
door
on something.
policy.
well, we're all
That's
out
it.
under we're all out here under God,
Yeah,
and none of us are making it out alive.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in the meantime,
Might as well try to help each other, right? Keep it.
someone told me a long time ago that we are all scaffolding. We are all scaffolding for each other.
Right.
And we're there to help each other get higher
Yeah.
with scaffolding. You know what I mean? And so that's a pride killer right there, knowing and accepting the fact that, hey, you know what? Somebody is probably better at me than this. Let me accept that and see how that's something that somebody can do can help me out. And maybe something that I can do can help that person out. And usually that's the case. So whatever I can do, you can do something better. And vice versa. So it ends up working out. And that's where collaboration and fellowship and, brotherhood and team, building, that's where all that comes from anyway. Is linking those Legos together. I mean,
Yep. Need pieces to make a puzzle.
absolutely.
Well, it was you got anything
Didn't
else?
you have something? You had a boxing movie come out, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. It came out.
Yeah.
Golden Globes for the boxing movie. We had it premiered at the Alamo back on the 21st.
Congratulations,
Yeah, thank you,
man.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
It
big.
was, it
Man,
was
that
real
was so
big.
fun.
That's
It
big.
was.
I just can't wait to the next one, man.
We're working on our second movie. And so,
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it was huge, man. It was a beautiful thing, man.
It was
My
good
man
look,
right
good
there.
turnout.
If people just know how much time and effort and the money and shit that we put into this.
Yeah.
I know.
We put I'm pretty sure you know. So we put a lot into it, man. It took us 2 years to do it, but we did it. And
That's great.
yeah. And this is a guy that works 8 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? And still works on his off days.
Yeah.
I mean, not 8 hours a day. You know what I'm saying?
It's because
He
it's a
works hours
passion.
a day.
That's
Oh, yeah,
and
10
to
hours
be
a
honest
day.
with you,
When it's a passion, it's
I
not
couldn't-
work.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but get on this man's team,
Yeah.
And what I did, what I told the people at the movie premiere is sometimes you have to get behind somebody else's dream
Yeah.
and support that dream.
Wow.
Believe in that dream enough and know that the outcome is going to be that everybody's dream is going to be,
Wow.
put into play. And that's what I did with him,
That's
man.
a huge.
That's
It
what
was
I did.
a
With
hit.
Humble statement. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
it was-
That
I mean, it was
not a
just-
lot of
yeah.
men could make. And
I'm learning.
that's real.
I'm
It was a
learning,
lot
man.
for
I
us,
said
yeah.
I had to, I've taken many paths. I done tried to do the rap thing, and that's why I understood with the rebranding thing.
But
Yeah.
you'll reap out of
Yeah.
that. You know
Oh
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
for sure. So I rebranded myself. I said, I'm Fetty Reggie,
Right.
and the world's gonna know who Fetty Reggie is. And I still got people. I got people in the world saying Freddie Reggie. It's not Freddie Reggie. It's Fetty.
Fetty.
Feddy.
Get it right.
REGGIE.
Get it right.
And that's the brand, and I'm gonna make the world say that name.
Man.
The world's gonna know that name, and then that whole Fetty Reggie, it's gonna be a household name, man. And I'm just trying to manifest that. And I just thank them for the opportunity, and that opportunity came from rocking with y'all, man. So it's just
Hey, man,
beautiful.
it's like
Yeah.
the dots should
It's
be
beautiful,
connected,
man.
huh?
You can't tell me nothing, and you can't
It
tell
is.
me nothing. You can't tell me I can't do this. You can't tell me I won't do this. I'm like, shit. I just can't
And
tell
it
you
was-
a definitive timeline to reach the goal, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, it was a real honor to really, really making this movie. Like, I'm in the credits 3 times. I was a cameraman, soundman, and actor.
Yeah.
And I love seeing myself on the big screen. I'm like, I can't wait to do it again. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it's
And you the
crazy
glue.
to see yourself
Right.
on the
You the
screen
glue
like
in the
that.
movie. You can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, he the
Yeah, the glue.
he the connector.
Yeah, I was the glue in the movie too. Like, I had a major role, but I didn't know I had a major role.
Right,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
because they focus on Lorenzo and Uno. You know, like then you see me in here and there. It was like, oh, well, he was the guy putting it all together. And so, yeah, it was beautiful, man.
Shout
I'm
out
glad-
to Uno.
shout out to Uno. Shout out to Lorenzo. Shout out to
Lorenzo,
Ed. Shout out to Ed for even giving me the opportunity to do it. You know what I'm saying? He could have chose anybody. He was like, "Hey, you want to try it out?" He was like, "Man, I never acted before. I mean, but I like acting.
Yeah.
So this is like my first gig, and I just took it and ran with it. We on the Medea train around here. We all the people that you saw in this movie is gonna be in the next one with new people in it.
Very
I
cool.
just can't wait. Maybe we can get Jesse Pringle in there. You know
Oh,
what I'm
man,
saying?
we gotta get a cameo
Yeah,
from
get
Big
you a
Court
scene in
Dog.
there.
We're gonna
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah,
We're gonna
man.
figure it out.
We're like that ladder that you were talking about earlier.
Absolutely.
We're building a platform here, and can't nobody say we didn't give them a chance to come try. We always got an open door policy too.
I think John Singleton. I think he said one time, and I can't, quote him, but he said, "Shut up and put it out."
Yeah, and that's what we.
You know
had
what I
to
mean?
do.
If you got
That's
a
what we
dream,
had
you
to
want to
do.
do something, you want to do a movie,
Yeah.
you want to do a short, you want to do a music video, whatever, just shut up and put it out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's never gonna be absolutely perfect.
No.
Or the right
No,
time to
no,
do
no.
it.
So just
Never
shut
the
up and
perfect time.
Yeah, like you said earlier, you even pissed to get off the pot. You
Oh
you
yeah,
can do it.
absolutely. Yeah.
We did it.
No, I congratulate
And,
you guys on that because I know how it is, man. I did the Kill 'Em All Kansas City series after I moved back from Los Angeles, came back, did the Kill 'Em All Kansas City series, kind of a mafioso crime drama web series, short film series,
yeah.
and then ended up getting licensing for that overseas, and then spun that off and did a Kill 'Em All Los Angeles series. So it's still available in the States on YouTube, so you can check that out.
Kill 'Em All.
Kill 'Em All Kansas City and Kill 'Em All Los Angeles for sure.
Tap in, check that out, y'all. YouTube.
And also make sure to come down December 28th at the Union. We're gonna have the DVD release party for the movie. You're welcome to show up too if you in town
Y'all
that
in
day.
town?
No, I'd love
Julian
to. If
18,
I'm here, I'd love to
Julian
come
18.
down.
We're going. Was it 5 to 9? 5 to 9. You pay $25 at the door, but you get the movie, the soundtrack, and the poster, right?
Nice.
Yep, you get all those
Very
things.
nice.
You come in, just kick it with us, and just support the town, man.
Very
This
cool.
is our next move. We may have performers. Yeah.
Anybody want to, tap in.
Yeah.
Heard that.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming, Mr.
Man,
Pringle, for
very,
real, man.
very
It
much
was.
appreciated.
No,
I was shocked when you wrote me. He was like, "Hey, man, what's up with that interview?" I'm like, "Oh, just
Let's do it, man. Like,
like, hey,
I
ready
made
to happen?
I made this my night. You
Yeah.
don't have to push me out. I'm
Yeah.
I'm cool. Like,
You were so busy, getting the video done. That was a good look outside,
Yeah.
but this was so much better. This was
Yeah.
long awaited. This is
Yeah.
long awaited because
Yeah.
we actually wanted you
We
when
actually
we had
wanted
the
you
first
earlier
interview
when we
with
went-
Court Dog.
Yeah, we did.
But time is everything. Time brings stuff together.
Yeah,
I'm glad we got a chance to work it out, man. This is
Everybody
a
got
cool
a
little
schedule.
spot.
Oh yeah, so shout out to Collective X for letting us use
Thank
her.
you
This is
very much.
our new nest, I guess, for the moment.
is our
till
new nest.
Till
We
get
back.
somewhere. Yeah, we back. We stable again. This is our third location, man. We started out from the basement, man.
Really?
Of his house. You know what I'm saying? Until we got to
I'm
a
still in the
office.
basement of my house. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, like, how far we progressed in this, man. Like, it's been a journey. A fun one at that, you know.
I'm just on my, I think we're on our second or third rehab of the basement. You know what I mean? Like, update, like, you know. So,
It happens, man.
no, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
man,
You
we
know, shout out
appreciate
to my,
you.
of course, I got to plug my
Yeah.
my Instagram, Jesse Pringle Outlaw. So check that out and look me up on YouTube, Jesse Pringle, JessiePringle.
Shout out to True Muscle Entertainment, too, man.
TME.
You know what I'm saying? Check them out, too. We're going to sign.
Yeah.
We're going to
Yeah,
we
for
got to
sure.
find Royce J
Oh,
next.
man.
We can see if we can get him on
Oh,
here.
man.
Hey, man, that's what it is, man. We all out here. Kansas
Whenever
City
you
showing
get
love.
Royce on here, you got to ask him about the pineapples.
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 I'm gonna remember that.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
about the
For sure.
pineapples.
I want to talk about that
Oh,
video.
yeah, y'all always put
TV.
those videos. I
That
know
cartoon
creative.
video
Yeah.
came out. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
And it was right on time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man.
man.
So,
We're going to go ahead and wrap it up, man. Y'all make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. Y'all know how to find this, man. I'm your boy, Mr. Fisher,
I'm your boy, Fatty Reggie.
and this the Outlaw Jesse Pringle. We signing out.
100.
If you got something to say, don't speak on it. Don't speak on it.